Guys, today we are going to talk about the different types of stretches, what they are, how they are different from each other, and most importantly, how are you gonna train your clients using these stretches. So there was a question in ACE, I guess, where they talk about what is the exact type of stretch that you should give a client before exercise and after exercise. And if this client is deconditioned or obese or someone who is very much new to training, then what is the protocol that you must follow with these kind of clients. So that's all these things we are going to discuss today in this video. So this is basically given in chapter 9, I guess, chapter 9 of your ACE book. Yeah, the types of stretches, yeah, it is in chapter 9. So let's quickly discuss about all of these things. Okay, so first of all, what are the different types of stretches? Number one, self myofascial release. You must have seen this in chapter 9. I'll tell you what it is. Number one is self myofascial release. Second type of stretching is static stretching. Third type of stretching is dynamic stretching. Fourth type of stretching is ballistic stretching. Fifth type of stretching is Pnf, that is proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation stretching. I know that's a lot. I know you are probably feeling a little overwhelmed. Oh my god, there are 5 types of stretches. I didn't know that. So if you are you have just started to prepare for ACE, then this might feel a little complicated for you. But don't worry, I'll try to make it as easy as possible. And those of you guys who are already preparing for ACE and you're halfway there, you're probably aware with these topics, but this might be a good revision for you. Alright, so let's start. First, like I said, in ACE they'll always try to test you. They'll always try to see how good of a trainer you are, like how safe are the clients in your hands. That's the first thing they're gonna test you on. So because of that, let's first try to find out like what is the approach that you should be following as a personal trainer. And this is given in chapter 9, by the way. What approach as a personal trainer you should be following when you're handling a deconditioned client or a beginner client. Okay, so before the actual workout, okay, let's say a client has come to you and this person is downright obese, or this person is very deconditioned, like they have been sedentary for years and they haven't done any kind of workout and they are not at all flexible and all of those things. This client comes to you. What are you gonna do as a personal trainer? How are you gonna begin with this client? So the first thing that you must give this client as a part of their warm-up, like before they have actually started the workout, as a part of their warm-up, you must give them self myofascial release. You must teach them how to do self myofascial release, which is nothing but using a foam roller. The foam roller that we use in yoga and all that. Using foam roller, you're trying to stretch yourself out. It is given in chapter 9. So let's say I have a foam roller, I place it and I lie on top of it. I try to massage my mid back and my upper back, or my calf muscles or my thigh muscles. What is all this? It is called myofascial release, and we do this using a foam roller. So this is the first thing that you must give someone who is deconditioned. You cannot directly give them dynamic stretches. You're gonna give them self myofascial release using your foam roller, or maybe a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball. This is the approach that you're gonna do with deconditioned clients. Once they are done with their self myofascial release, then you can give them static stretches. What are static stretches? We'll talk about it next. So yeah, the first type of stretch that you saw is self myofascial release. It can be done using a foam roller or a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball. Okay. Second type of stretching is static stretching. What is static stretching? Let me first show you. You see this? I will be holding this position for 15 seconds to 30 seconds on my left hand, and then I will switch to the other hand and I'll hold this position for again 15 to 30 seconds. I'll not move. I'll just keep breathing and I'll keep holding this position. This is called static stretching. So remember the word static. Okay, static. You are not moving. You are just constantly holding that stretch for 15 to 30 seconds. That is static stretching. Okay. So remember the code word 15 to 30 seconds. Any stretch that you are holding for 15 seconds and above, it becomes a static stretch. Okay, so that is static stretching. So if a deconditioned client comes to you, you start with self myofascial release and then you make them do static stretching, and then you let them enter into a workout, whatever the workout plan that you are giving them. That's when they start the workout plan, after self myofascial release and static stretching. Now some of you guys must be thinking right now, oh, but static stretching is something you should do post workout, right? Pre-workout you should always do dynamic stretching, you should not do static stretching. Static stretching is reserved for post workout, right? Post workout recovery, as part of your cool down, you can do static stretching. That's how it is. You're right. Now let me clarify this. Yes, you're correct. Static stretching is something that you do post workout, and dynamic stretching is something that you do pre-workout, meaning before working out, before doing your actual workout. That's correct. But you need to understand this, guys. With a deconditioned individual, the workout itself is not going to be very intense. You're not going to make them do heavy deadlifts or squats or any kind of complicated exercises, right? What you're probably going to do with a deconditioned client is probably their main workout will probably be dynamic stretches. Maybe just doing some movements alone is going to be a workout for them, or maybe they'll do some slow paced, jogging or fast walking on a treadmill, or stair climbers, or stationary bike. So these are the kind of workouts that they're doing, which is not going to be very heavy or very complicated or very intense. Getting it? And since their body is very stiff, doing static stretching before their actual workout is not going to harm them. It's only going to benefit them, because they are deconditioned, right? And their actual workout is not that complicated. It doesn't involve a lot of heavy weight lifting or any kind of sports or athletic kind of stuff. So it's okay. For deconditioned individuals, you first give them myofascial release. You begin with myofascial release, self myofascial release, using foam roller or lacrosse ball. Then you give them static stretching. Then they go for the actual workout, and sometimes their actual workout can be nothing but dynamic stretching, which we'll talk about in a bit. And after that, after they are done with their workout, then maybe as part of their cool down, you can again give them self myofascial release, static stretching. All these things you can give them. And if that person is a little advanced, then after their workout you can also give them Pnf stretching. Pnf meaning proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, which I will explain, don't worry. Okay, so what all did we cover? We covered self myofascial release, and we covered static stretching, that is holding a stretch for 15 to 30 seconds, that is static stretching. Now let's talk about dynamic stretching. What is dynamic stretching? Any kind of stretching where you're not holding that position for a long time, but you are in movement, that kind of stretching is called dynamic stretching. So let me show you a quick example of dynamic stretching. You see this? So what am I doing here? I'm basically stretching my pecs, right? I'm stretching this area, but instead of holding the stretch, I am moving it. I'm continuously moving it. I'm doing this, again this, I'm stretching out my lats. I can do this thing also like quickly, right? Instead of holding this position, I'll just do this, and I'll quickly switch, then I'll do this, and I'll quickly switch. So you see, I'm not resting at any point. I'm not holding a stretch for a long time. I'm doing it very quickly, and I'm moving from one movement to another. So what is this doing? This is helping me warm up, and this is helping me stretch my body. Like even if I do this fast, I am stretching my pecs, right? Only difference is I'm not holding that stretch. I'm doing it in movement. So this kind of stretching is called as dynamic stretching, and dynamic stretching is something that you must be doing before your workout. I'll say that again. Dynamic stretching is the stretching that you will be doing before your workout, and static stretching is a stretching that you'll be doing after your workout. Exactly. So remember that. And why is that? Now let's say I am planning to do deadlift today, or I'm planning to do heavy squats today, right? So I need a lot of tensile strength in my ligaments. So if I do static stretching and hold that stretch for 15-30 seconds, my those areas will become very loose, right? And I don't want it to be loose when I'm planning to do heavy squats and heavy deadlifts. That's the reason static stretching is reserved for post-workout cool down, and dynamic stretching is reserved as part of your warm-up. For most individuals, that is the way we'll go. Only for deconditioned people, we'll go for static stretching before workout itself. Clear? So we covered self myofascial release, we covered static stretching, we covered dynamic stretching. Next, ballistic stretching or ballistic stretching. What is ballistic stretching? It looks similar to dynamic stretching, but it is very advanced. So one type of dynamic stretching, ballistic stretching would be where there is some, jumping movement or some kind of, what do you call it? One second, let me just make this silent. Yep. Sorry about that. Yeah. So ballistic stretching, one example will be, I'll show you. So I'm standing here and I'm doing this, see. So I'm trying to stretch my hamstrings and I'm doing it very quickly. There is that bumping movement, I'm moving up and down like a ping pong. So that is similar to dynamic, but not exactly. Ballistic stretching is little more advanced. This is something we reserve for people who are in the performance phase, people who are athletes, those people can tolerate this kind of stretching. A deconditioned people or even, your average people will not be able to tolerate that kind of stretching. So ballistic stretching is slightly advanced and we reserve it for athletes who have performance goals. Yeah. So yeah, that is ballistic stretching. Finally, we have Pnf stretching, that is proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. I know it's a mouthful, but as ACE certified trainers, we have to know all these terminologies, guys. Period. Whether you like it or not, you have to remember this. Yeah. So what is Pnf? Pnf is an advanced type of stretching which helps you to improve your range of motion, your ROM. Like let's say my hand only goes till here. If I do a lot of Pnf stretching, I'll be able to go further. I'll be able to, like, how to say it, think about your hamstrings, right? Let's say I'm lying down. This is me and I'm lying down and I'm lifting one of my legs up. I can only lift till here. After this, I feel a tightness in my hamstrings. So doing Pnf stretching will increase my range of motion. I'll be able to lift my legs till 90 degree or maybe even beyond that without any problem. Okay. So that is a benefit of Pnf stretching. Now let's see what is Pnf stretching and how it is done. Okay. So same example. I am lying down supine. That means I am lying on my back. Okay. Imagine that I am lying on my back. This is me lying on my back. These are my legs, right? Now here a trainer comes. A trainer has come here. That trainer is lifting my leg and that person is holding my leg like this. Now I'm feeling a lot of stretch in my hamstrings right now. Okay. That person is holding my legs like this. Now what I have to do is, now this person will hold this leg. Now I'll have to contract this leg. This person is trying to stretch my hamstrings, right? My hamstrings is being stretched. This trainer is trying to stretch my hamstrings. What I will do is, once the trainer stops at a certain point, the trainer will stop and then the trainer will ask me to come on. You try to press against me. He'll tell me that. Now I'll try to press against his hands or whatever he's trying to hold himself against my legs. I'll try to force it like this. So basically what am I trying to do? I'm trying to contract my hamstring muscles, right? He pushed in this direction and he held it for a few seconds. Now he's asking me to compress, contract it. So I'll try to push against him. I'll try to push my legs against him and he will try to hold it. He will not let me push. He'll hold it. He'll resist it. And this should be done for 6 to 7 seconds. I don't know exactly. It's given in chapter 9, I guess. 5 to 6 seconds or 7 seconds and up. I am not sure. I think 5 to 6 seconds. So I'll try to contract this against him. He'll try to resist and I'll contract for 5 to 6 seconds. Now I will relax. Now the trainer will ask me to relax. Now when I have relaxed, now again the trainer will push. And this time the trainer will try to push a little more, up to 90 degree maybe. At first he was holding over here. He tried to hold that stretch for a few seconds. I pressed against him for 5 to 6 seconds. Then he asked me to relax and then he will try to increase my range of motion. He will try to further take my legs all up directly over my waist and he'll try to hold that for 20 to 30 seconds. And then he will leave me alone. And then I will take a break of maybe 30 seconds and then we'll repeat this entire process 3 or 4 more times. So this kind of stretching is called Pnf stretching or proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. This is basically the contract, relax, you know, the things that we learned about Golgi tendon organ, you know, all those things that we learned, GTO response and stuff like that, muscle spindle activity, all these concepts kind of come here. So proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation stretching is a very good stretching. It will help improve your range of motion. So if you do this repeatedly a couple of times, of course after workout, after you are properly warmed up, you shouldn't, first thing in the morning you cannot do a Pnf stretching, that is very bad, that can cause injuries. So after you are properly warmed up, after your workout is done, maybe if you are an advanced athlete or slightly, you know, intermediate, then as a personal trainer you can use that on your client. You can go for Pnf stretching to increase the range of motion. If that person can lift their legs only till here, after doing this a couple of times they'll be able to lift further, so their hamstring flexibility will increase. So this is Pnf stretching, proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, right? Yeah, so we have covered self myofascial release, which we do using a foam roller or a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball. This is usually done for people who are deconditioned. Everybody can do that, but usually deconditioned people should be trained in this way. You should be giving them self myofascial release as the first thing, as part of their warm up. First thing is self myofascial release. Then you can move. Then second thing that we covered is static stretching, where we are holding a stretch for 15 to 30 seconds. Remember that, 15 to 30 seconds. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to say, in self myofascial release, when you are doing that using that lacrosse ball or tennis ball or foam roller, whatever it is that you are using, you'll find a tender spot where it is a little stiff, you know, maybe your mid back, when you're trying to hold it over there with that foam roller behind you. You'll find a tender spot and you'll try to stay in that spot for 30 to 60 seconds. Listen to my words, 30 to 60 seconds. These are the code words that you must remember. Okay, so when you're doing self myofascial release, you'll find a tender spot and then you'll move back and forth in that spot for 30 to 60 seconds. That's how myofascial release is done. For static stretching, it is 15 to 30 seconds. Getting it? So we covered self myofascial release, static stretching. Third topic that we covered is dynamic stretching, where I told you everything is in movement. You are not holding a stretch, you are in movement. So this kind of stretching is called as dynamic stretching. Ballistic stretching is very much advanced. It is reserved for athletes and people who have performance based goals. You know, like I showed you, you're trying to touch your toes and you're doing it in a very quick fashion. You're kind of, you know, in a ballistic way, you're jumping up and down, you're kind of, you know, bouncing, basically that's the word, bouncing. A stretching where you're bouncing a lot, that kind of stretching is called ballistic stretching. And then we saw proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, where the trainer holds that stretch in a stretched position and then asks you to contract that and hold that for 5 to 6 seconds, and then that person will ask you to relax and further stretch your legs or whatever it is that he's stretching for 20 to 30 seconds. Then you take a break of 20 to 30 seconds and you repeat this entire process one more time, the Pnf stretching. Done. So these are the type of stretches that are there in chapter 9. These are the type of stretches that you must know as a personal trainer, and most importantly you must know when to use these stretches and to which clients you should be using the stretches. Like I said, ballistic stretches are reserved for athletes and advanced individuals. Pnf stretching is also for someone who is intermediate level, not beginners. You don't do Pnf on beginners. For beginners, usually you go for self myofascial release and static stretching before their actual workout. After their workout, you can again give them self myofascial release and static stretching. For intermediate individuals, after their workout is done, you can give them static stretching and Pnf. You can. And for advanced athletes, you can give ballistic stretching as well. Done. So that was a portion of chapter 9 that I had one of my, you know, subscribers message me and ask, you know, like this question was asked and I don't know how to answer. Is there any video about static stretching and the difference between all these stretches? So that's why I made this video. I hope this helps, and I have my notes, all of these chapters that I've covered, everything I've written down in form of notes, and I've converted that notes into PDF. So in case you want that PDF, you can message me on Instagram. I'll put a link of my Instagram channel in the description below. And yes, I'm charging a small price for it. the PDF of my notes. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Bye bye.